Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Monday night. It is time for revolutionary change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager, and sorry for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. That's on me. And Jen
They
doesn't like
know
it.
who it is. They know.
It's not always me. Well, is it
It's
always?
always you.
Okay. Well, it's always me
On
then.
this show late. Yeah. Seriously, when have I been late?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, this is just one of those rough travel days. We have
And
another.
Peter's an hour earlier, so he has to be ready for the show by 6. So
Yeah. But no sympathy. I don't deserve it. Let's just get started. Hope you're all
okay.
doing well. Obviously, we got a lot to cover this evening. We have a very special guest this evening, obviously, in Kshama Sawant, who is one of our favorite people, and of course, one of the rare birds in electoral politics that is actually trying to do good in an honest and equitable way, which is so often not the case. And then, of course, you look around at a lot of things that happened even earlier today. And not that it's going to be a segment, but I just want to point out that anybody who is still caught up in this idea that you can vote your way out of this by voting for the blue team, just remember that there was a major ceremony earlier today in Michigan with Governor Whitmer and Sam Altman of ChatGPT to open up a new massive data center. Because why not? Just vote blue.
This data center issue is going to be the sort of the I
The
think
canary in the coal mine.
I think the data center issue is going to be the last straw that starts really bringing people and communities more together. And I do think they're going to initiate direct action because that's what's going to need to happen here. And that's where this is going. I mean, they could keep protesting and keep asking for your city municipal permits to properly in the proper zone file your grievances, or you could, I don't know, get tear gassed and manhandled in New Jersey or, Minneapolis or wherever.
Well, this
But
is
yeah,
also
direct action is what's going to need to happen with these data centers. So they want to build these data centers. And the only way to stop that from happening, and be very clear, it has to be not profitable. As soon as trying to put those data centers in becomes less profitable or not worth the expense, as soon as that happens, that's where you have to get to, because until it's not profitable for them, they're going to do what they're going to do.
correct. And I think it also speaks to an even greater issue here, which is if you think about what happened recently with BlackRock's Larry Fink, when he came out and said, "Don't you dare mess with our data centers," that means that you
Really?
better mess with their data centers. Because if he's telling
Really?
you what not to do, that means you do the opposite. Because clearly
Don't
that will
mess
affect
with our data centers. How about don't mess with our planet, you fuck?
and on top of
God,
everything else,
they're such disgusting pigs.
well, sure. They hate themselves. They're emasculated men in so
Ugh.
many respects who figured out a way to game the capitalist system, and now it's this forever one-upmanship on society to prove that we were the tough guys all along. We were the big shots. Yeah, trust me, they're coming for you.
You know what? It's like you think you own whatever land you land on, and you don't.
No,
And I very firmly believe that the earth will have its vengeance upon us. And that will be that for humans. And the earth will, I don't know, freeze over, heat over, reboil, recook. I don't know. But, we're so arrogant, like the hubris, it's off the chain. Our data centers. You mean the data centers that you're putting on like land that people got kicked off of for your data centers, or the people that you're poisoning near your data centers?
yeah.
I want to punch people like that so badly. Like, I
Well,
really do. When people talk like that, it is all I can do not to like jump out of my skin.
actually, I'm going to call an audible in terms of where I think we should start. People ask us all the time, what are we supposed to do? What do we do? Because
Direct action.
ultimately, we're looking around and saying, okay, you're not voting your way out of this. Economically, they're choking you to death. They're doing it the same way over in West Asia.
Yeah.
This is going to be uh, a major problem. However, there is a content creator you like very much named Jolly Good Ginger. Now,
I do.
don't
I
happen to know.
love him, and he has like, he's got this gap in his teeth that's so cute, and that is actually in my genetics. Like, I had it, my grandmother had it, mine got fixed by braces, but that was why I always liked Lauren Hutton, and he has the gap. So yeah, he's particularly endearing to me.
Well, Lauren Hutton rocked it very well, but I will say
that was when I was a kid. That was like, because I had that growing up. I had that big gap for a really long time.
Interesting.
So yeah,
I think he turned out okay. So here's the Jolly Good Ginger letting everybody know what we need to do to get out of this hellscape we're stuck in.
Cancel me when I'm done with this video. I don't care. Do what you want. I don't care. I'm done. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm done. I'm going to say the thing. I'm going to say the thing. And when I'm done saying the thing, I'm going to tell you the truth. And when I'm done telling you the truth, do with it what you will. I don't give a fuck. If you want to cancel me and, never hear another video from me again, cool. I'm cool. I don't care. Here's the thing. I'm going to say the thing. And what I'm about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I actually don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about it. Whether you're on the left, whether you're a liberal, whether you're a moderate conservative or far right, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If you're a leftist watching this and you want to leave a fucking paragraph in my comment section about how you feel, just know I'm not reading the comments. I don't give a fuck. I'm about to say the thing that needs to be said that I've been avoiding saying for a long time and that nobody else is saying on the internet. Because if you say it on the internet, it could end poorly for you. But I don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. And here's the thing. What's happening right now in this country is already past the line. We've already passed what should have been the line for revolution. What's happening right now with ICE and with everything else is our Boston Tea Party, right? Like our Boston Tea Party moment. Like taxation without representation. Well, we are at the point where we don't have rights. We've sacrificed all of our rights so that corporations can be rich. We've sacrificed all of our rights so that billionaires can exist. And I don't give a fuck how you feel about that. That's the fact. I don't care, by the way. I'm not speaking to just blue voters. I'm talking to everybody. If you're a conservative or whatever, listen to me. I'm talking to you too. This is a class war that we're losing, and we failed to acknowledge it because we're so divided upon these fucking blue-red lines that we've lost our fucking way.
Before you say anything, Colin, this is what I was talking about beard grooming and maintenance, beard oil. His looks really good anyway. And I think I saw Ozma was saying she doesn't know him. You need to follow Jolly Good Ginger, Ozma. He's amazing.
I think he's saying exactly what needs to be said with platforms that are obviously a lot bigger than ours. This particular message has been viewed, I think, at least 1 million times on his Instagram. But when people are asking us in particular, what is the solution? And I said, oh, it's revolution. I mean, there is no other solution. At this point, the merging of our military with Israel's, like,
Oh, yeah.
How much more do you want to get it stuck up your ass before you decide that you're not going to take it anymore? I have suffered personal economic loss by speaking out against this, and I'm not going to stop because I know where this is going. And anyone else who can't see where this is going or sees where it's going and still chooses not to do anything, and we're going to get to that later in the evening because there is a great video that crystallizes all of this. It is put up or shut up time. And that's what Jolly Good Ginger is saying right now. And he's right.
Yeah. I've been seeing more of these types of videos from the type of people that have the means and the training to do things. And this is one of those times where people are asking, what do we do? What does that look like? Everybody has what their thing is, what they're good at. And that can be something that contributes to the cause, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like for me, it's growing food and lots of it. And so, there's different things that people can do in this time to create a support network for everybody, because that's what this is going to get really bad. And people are not understanding it. I mean, we can let this continue to play. Let's let this finish.
Listen, go look at what's happening in Delaney right now. Go look at what's happening. The police are literally arresting everybody just for protesting. The First Amendment, there's a reason it's number one. The First Amendment is dead. It died. It died, motherfucker. It died this year. With everything that happened in Chicago and D.C. and Minneapolis and L.A. and now in New Jersey and every place in between, the First Amendment's dead. If you think our First Amendment rights still exist, you're a fucking lunatic. I'm posting this. When I get done recording this, I'm going to post it on the internet. And there's a chance that I could face DOJ federal charges and indictments for me saying this out loud. And that thing is that we need a revolution. We need people to take to the streets and say, fuck it all. That's it. We're done, dude. If we don't have our 1776 moment right now, we're about to pass the point of no return. And people are going to say, oh, Johnny, you shouldn't do that. There's still hope. We can still win the midterms and take back the House, and we can still fucking hold them all accountable. You're a delusional motherfucker if you.
That's where we're at.
You are.
That's where we're at.
You are. And there are people who are going to gaslight us into thinking that, oh, AOC is going to save us. Yeah, good luck with that one.
And another thing is, like, I know people that are not paying their taxes. That's the best way for anybody who has control over that situation. I know that when you file and you're an employee, it gets taken out and you have no control of that situation. But for people that do, I'm just saying resistance, revolution is in us. Right? Like it's a way of thinking. It's a mindset of essentially non-compliance. It's a mindset of what can we do to help ourselves fight against this Epstein class of monsters. And that's what we all have to do. And if everybody does the best that they can do with that mindset, that's the revolution.
Correct.
Because the proper people that are trained and armed are trained and armed, which is not me. Again,
not yet anyway.
I am unarmed.
Not yet, anyway.
Believe that. I don't give a fuck. Cancel me. Cancel me. The governor of New Jersey is a Democrat governor that everybody was happy that she won the seat. Yay, Mikey Sherrill won the governorship. And she's the one that's sicking the state thugs on you right now. The governor of my state, Virginia, where I live, everybody was happy Spanberger won. I mean, even I voted for her. I was happy Spanberger won because fuck having a Republican governor. She vetoed the rights for unions to fucking have collective bargaining. She vetoed regulations against ICE. She had a massive veto against a bunch of things that our Democrat majority House of Delegates gave to her, because at the end of the fucking day, the Democrats are nothing more than moderate conservatives. We don't have a left-wing party.
Where have you been? Where have you been?
Who's been saying that?
We've been saying it for about, how long have we been saying that? But
like 6 years, almost
7 years? Easily. But no, let's just vote. Let's vote blue no matter who, because that's going to save us. Really. This time it'll save us. And that's why I keep telling people that if you think AIPAC is dangerous, J Street is that much more dangerous, because they're going to do it in such a way that gives you a sense of comfort that we can have Israel, but it won't be as bad. No. You either accept the reality or get the fuck out of the way. That's where we are now.
Yeah. It's an
don't have it, motherfuckers. And if you think the fucking Democrats winning the majority in November is going to save us from this shit, then we're just going to be back here in a couple years any goddamn way. The status quo is what got us here, and the Democrats uphold the status quo. If you're a staffer on Capitol Hill and you're watching this video and you never want to let me talk to your fucking congressperson again, I don't give a fuck.
That's over.
I'm done.
Obviously, that's something that came up for him when he was
my
in
fucking
Capitol.
card. Not enough people are fucking angry. Not enough people are in the fucking streets. A revolution is not happening yet. It needs to. It's still not too late, but god damn it, it's almost too late. And if motherfuckers don't get involved, right, go look at what's happening in Delaney Hall right now. Go look at what's happening in Delaney Hall tonight. Go look. Go look. Tell me about your constitutional rights. Tell me how much they really exist. They don't. We don't have rights anymore. If you're not rich and wealthy, if you're not Elon Musk, if you're not Donald Trump, if you're not part of the fucking 1% billionaire class, motherfucker. Any perceived power you have is nothing more than that, a perception. Cancel me. I don't give a fuck. Run this across the internet, tell everybody I'm a delusional fuck and I've gone too far and I've said too much and I'm being whatever the fuck you want to. I don't give a fuck. What I'm saying is the truth. Whether you see it now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I don't give a fuck when you see it. But I said the truth. Fucking chew on it.
I mean, he said it, not me.
What he said is correct. And
I mean, I have said it, but yeah.
Mr. Jolly Good Ginger, I don't think we've got that much time. 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. No, that revolution's coming sooner rather than later. And it has to come sooner rather than later because, I mean, I don't know how much you think you're going to be able to, you know, to silence people, choke people off. It's not going to work. It's eventually there will be an uprising and the uprising is happening, but it'll happen much more effectively if the right people like, you know, I mean, Jolly was he a Marine? I forget what branch.
I don't remember. I know he's a veteran.
You know, when the veterans start speaking up and the veterans start calling out active duty members to basically be on the side of justice. Again, why does anybody serve in the military? In terms of, yeah, obviously there's people who serve specifically because of their desperate economic situation, but there's also something to be said for what is the motivator for wanting to join the military. And very often the biggest motivator is that they believe in their patriotism of their country. And right now,
I don't think so.
Okay. What do you think?
I think the majority of reason why people join the military in our lifetime is because it's a jobs program.
That's what I said.
No, well, you said in terms of people believing in patriotism and wanting to do it for their country. Like, I don't think that people I think very few people do that anymore.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably less than commonplace. But how many people that are in the military right now that feel that they have to stay in it, but are in a situation where they know that they're fighting on behalf of Israel? Like, they know that that's what they're doing. They know that they're attempting to merge this. And I know you weren't here on Saturday, but I'm sure you have a few thoughts about Section 224.
I have thoughts. I mean, yeah, there is so much infighting and sabotage going on right now in the military, but we're not going to ever hear about that. We're not going to hear about it until however long down the road where you start getting it through trickling through different sources. But there's a reason that those carriers were having all those issues. You know, the people do know that are in the military and they don't want to go die for Israel. And so they are standing up in different ways. There is definitely been insubordination. And a lot, look, they fired a whole bunch of generals and people. And, you know, I mean, our military, other than our bombing power, is nothing right now. We can't go to a war and have a land war. We can't. Not with Iran. Sure as shit, not with Turkey. So I don't know what they think that's, you know, going to happen, but these are delusional people. They are. These are very, very delusional people. We don't have enough arms and enough ammo and enough of all of the killing things to sustain us. And Iran does. So again, I'm not like, I hate when I have to be the math person, but if one of these things runs out of money first, they lose. So we'll just think of it like right? If whoever runs out of weapons first loses, that's going to be us.
It's not just the weapons; it's the will. You know, the will of
all of it. We're ridiculous.
Yeah, and our will, you would think, would have a little bit more common sense. But as I'm sure you guys know, over the weekend there was a parade for Israel. Parade for Israel. Did you know that, Jen? Did you know there was a
No, and I hope that someday there's a form of justice and the people in this will be held accountable, because as far as I'm concerned, these people are traitors. These people are traitors. And the people that the idea of what you're about that 224, that thing where they want to combine our military, that's treasonous. That's treasonous.
To have,
I think it's a violation of the Constitution. I mean, it's been a while since I've, read Article 1, but It's not sounding right to me. Okay. So I think that we have a situation here. Not that anybody cares about the Constitution anymore. I don't even know why I say that. Nobody cares about laws. Nobody gives a shit. They're dropping white phosphorus in neighborhoods. So, you know, we are the most rogue, lawless, like yeah, forget what I said. Who cares? Fuck the Constitution, right?
At this point, it sure seems that way.
I mean, I always took it very seriously, but apparently I'm like in a very small category of people, very small group.
Well, this is why we say that Mamdani is a very unique individual, because he truly is standing up against this. United Slaves of Israel is the new name. Yeah, that's true. And this is why. So Raphael Shimonov, who I know, have some disagreements with, but give him credit. He is very anti-Israel and he is Jewish. And
is he Israeli?
I'm not sure. He's not Ashkenazi. He might be.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is he? But he, you know, that doesn't mean he's Israeli. He could be Sephardic. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is going to take us through a quick walkthrough of all of the wonderful people who showed up at this event the other day. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this was a Democratic Party establishment shindig, if there ever was one. They were all there. I don't think AOC was there, but it was the usual suspects and then some. Senator Schumer, Congressman Goldman.
These are traitors. These are traitors.
Mm-hmm. Governor Hochul.
Schumer won't live long enough for there to be any sort of like, you know, he'll never have any accountability in this, but because he's also really up there, but.
Yeah, Chucky the Shoe. Okay, so as Raphael says, come with me as I learn about each person at the official Israeli delegation at today's Israel Day Parade in New York City. There are the people, some of my fellow Jewish and other New Yorkers demanded Mayor Mamdani stand with today. But he didn't.
Good for you. Good for you, Zoran.
So here is Itzhak Wasserloff. Here he is coaching IDF entering Gaza, offering a blessing on the one who seizures babies and dashes them against the rocks.
Wait, here he is wait, what? He's coaching who? What?
Pay attention. Look.
Wait, he's coaching IDF. Okay, on offering a blessing. Ugh. Disgusting.
This guy's a mass murderer. So that's one. Number two, this is Cabinet Minister Amahai Ben Eliyahu. Eliyahu? Is that?
Well, he's right behind Smotrich, so whatever.
He called on bombing humanitarian aid to Gaza. He called on starving Gazans. There's no such thing. They're Palestinians. And he called on nuking Gaza.
But here, the fact that this guy says that means he's a bigot too.
Sure, of course.
So we're reading what one bigot says about another bigot. Okay.
And here is, Jen, I'd like you to do the honors on this one.
The representative of the genocidal entity, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. He said, it may be just and moral to starve 2 million Gaza residents, but no one in the world would let us. He also defined victory after October 7th as Gaza fully destroyed. He is a supporter of greater annexing the West Bank and beyond into other nations like Jordan, and believes Palestinians aren't real. Speaking of parades in the genocidal entity, he organized the anti-LGBTQ parade called Beast March, claiming the farm animals they forced to march had less sin than queer people. So all of you, anybody that's remotely a push blue person or a support Israel person based on that they are better to the LGBT community, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not feeling that love. This guy is like a monster. He's one of those where I wish bad things, and I hate that I wish bad things. And I'm angry that I wish bad things. So that's where we are.
This is Ariel Kellner. Whoever remains in the north, we will truly starve them. One goal, Nakba. A Nakba will overshadow the Nakba of 48. A Nakba in Gaza and a Nakba for anyone who dares to join. He was one of 8 officials who signed a letter demanding the elimination of all food and power sources in Gaza. And of course he looks like that. He's definitely one, sibling screw job removed, I would imagine. This is Amir Ohana, Speaker of the Israeli Knesset. Ohana praised Trump's proposal to relocate Gazans and redevelop Gaza, calling it a bold new vision for Gaza and a fresh perspective. If you want a Palestinian state, build it in London or Paris. Signed petition for annexation of the West Bank. Look at that.
Oh my.
What do you think Adam's job is going to be now? What's
I think that he might as well just start, dancing like Bojangles and maybe do like minstrel shows. Might as well there. Jesus.
Not all of the goons were Israeli officials. Behind former Mayor Adams is his NYPD detail, Detective Elvis Montalvo. Montalvo has over $42K in settlements paid to victims of his police misconduct. Last year, he made almost $250,000, and he's the former mayor, and he's seen with the former mayor all over the world, of course. Yeah, he looks the part. Oh, there he is. Oh, he went and kissed the wall too. Well, I guess that's what it takes to make $250,000.
They all go and kiss the wall.
Yeah. Ugh. Let's see what James Zogby had to say, because he's one of the best ones out there. To celebrate the Jewish community, its contributions to American life, and to support their security would have been a good thing. But to stand with Israel while it's devastating Lebanon, continuing genocide in Gaza, and hosting this collection of war criminals, that's another story. And you're damn right. It's another story. And now what we're going to show you is exactly how sadistic these people are. Colin, can I get that clip that I just sent?
Okay, now you're going to have to be more specific because there's no shortage of that information. Like, what clip are we watching? What do you have?
So we can show all of the wonderful people that decided to line up and support this ridiculous parade. That includes, of course, Chuck Schumer, Senator, former Mayor Adams, of course, Attorney General Tish James. Yeah, they do a lot of things. Whatever
That's
they have,
that's the nubbin.
They're lacking quite a bit. Congressman Goldman was there.
All right, so I mean, we don't need to watch a video of them being there, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm not showing that. Who cares? We don't need.
That's what I'm saying. What are you going to show us about the sadistic nature of
see.
genocide?
I mean, I sent the clip to Colin. I'm waiting for it. So
okay, I'm sure he'll get it
someday.
Was this the one that I sent you?
No, it's different.
No,
this is the clip that truly shows the indignant behavior of the Zios and who they really are, because they hate seeing the truth. They hate seeing things shoved in their face, because in the end, it just kind of speaks to how depraved their ideology is. And they know that they're on borrowed time. They can't be that stupid. They understand that in the short run, they win, but in the long run, they lose. They have to know this. Here's why. Let's try this one more time. Hopefully it will actually not be buffering so heavily when we play it. Let's try it again.
We've seen so many of them.
Free USA from fucking Islam, motherfucker. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. And you're supporting it. And you're
This is along the parade route.
Fuck out of here! Let's go! Get out of here! This is our fucking city. Get the fuck out of here! No room for any fucking Zionists. Get the fuck out of here! This is the fuck out of here! Shame on you! Shame on you! What's the halacha? Shame! He's starting with me. He's telling me to get out.
Stephen, let's
What's
go.
the halacha?
You should go, Stephen.
Stephen, we have to go to
you should
brunch.
go.
We got to go to brunch, Stephen. You're
Stephen.
making a big stink.
If that is not a North Shore, Long Island Jewish woman, I've never heard one before in my life.
Oh, the comfort level. They scream comfortable.
And you all think that this is a Republican problem? You think because Trump is there that, oh my God, it's so terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. Guess what? If the Democrats were there, the same thing would be happening. Who do you think is in control?
Well,
Who do you
I
think runs the
remember
show?
this genocide starting with Genocide Joe. So
Yeah. Listen, Candace Owens has been great. You know, we laud what she has done along with Tucker in regards to pulling the right away from Israel. But I will tell you, when she had Hunter Biden on and she basically gave him a pass when he tried to absolve his family from
I was wondering, why are we
responsibility
talking about Candace?
in
But
this
there it is.
genocide is unacceptable.
Yes.
And this is the thing about short-term memory. This is the thing about the fact that, you know, we always said President Blinken. Why would we say President Blinken? President Blinken is connected to Robert Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and this whole, could Mamdani have arrested? You know what? That's a, Jen, could he have?
No. And the reason is because the United States and the genocidal entity are not parties to the International Criminal Court. It's one of the reasons, I believe it was during the first Trump administration, that we just totally blew them off. So because we're not a party to that, we don't have to. However, if Smotrich, let's say his plane had difficulties and they had to land in a country that did have somebody willing to uphold and abide by international law, then he could be arrested.
Of all the people, the only person worse than to have had Smotrich there today would have been Gvir. But to have one of those three men, Smotrich, Gvir, or Netanyahu, at that parade, they're telling you it's revolution or nothing. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. We are through it's the old saying, ladies and gentlemen, but we are through the looking glass here, people. Up
No,
is down.
they're not going to stop. These are people that need to be stopped.
Correct.
They'll never stop voluntarily. They're never going to stop. They're not going to negotiate.
Remember when we were very adamant about the fact that Tish James was basically using her political position strictly to prosecute Trump in New York, which was probably the weakest case of them all, but she did it for political cannon fodder, even though, as you have pointed out time and again, one of the biggest indictments of law enforcement, particularly in a city like New York, is that they have backlogging for decades on cases that could use real detective work and police investigative work. But who fucking cares about that shit? That's real justice. We need political justice, and we need to look good. And so now, while everybody is blowing smoke up Tish James's ass, who's planning on running for governor, by the way, she's out there in that fucking parade, and she has the audacity to claim that she's a progressive.
Wait, this is someone who claims to be, I mean, yeah, the amount of untested rape kits in places like New York, in places like that have very big backlogs. These are not places that are concerned with your safety and your well-being.
No.
They're just not. These are not, I mean, well, that's not what the punishment bureaucracy does. So that's, you know, I reject the term law enforcement entirely.
Well, what would you call it then?
I call it a punishment bureaucracy, and those are their foot soldiers. I call it the boot of the oppressor. I call it, I don't know, slave catchers, goon thugs. I don't know. Call them whatever you want to, but they're not enforcing laws. They're harassing people that are poor. There's a big difference. If they were enforcing laws, then people like the Sacklers would be incarcerated. You know, it's not about that. And anybody interested, I've talked about this on my Mission Abolition series, and we talked about it when we had Alec Karakatsanis on. And yeah, there is no law enforcement that is to protect and serve us. That doesn't exist. Law enforcement has always been and will continue to be protecting capital and the oppressor. That's what they do. That's what they do. So the people who like law enforcement fancy themselves in that class.
Colin, can you pull up that picture, please? To me, this image kind of defines all of it. It just tells you that if you
That's a
think
good term. That's a good term.
capitalist security forces, yeah, well, that is what they do.
But it's not law enforcement. There's no.
No, it's capital.
Let's call it selective law enforcement.
No,
How
it's
about
capital protection. Colin, I just texted it to you.
Stop being curt. What is this that you're wanting to look at now?
I just think the image kind of captures
Which one are we
essentially
talking about?
why you cannot, well, you can't vote your way out of this. And it is high past time to get serious about what we're going to do here, because as you can
I'm
see-
sorry, I just heard you say it's time to get high.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
well,
Okay.
here's the governor, here's the attorney general, and they are walking out in front in support of this nonsensical parade that shouldn't even exist, to be honest. I mean, the whole celebration of Israel. So
I'm sorry. I saw that. It went through, and I looked at us, and he ain't wrong.
a lot of geometry in you guys. Oh,
Because between my background and your background, like
the lines.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
funny. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Mine's a work in progress. Kathy,
And this is why I keep saying that the Democratic Party is so much more dangerous than the Republican Party, because with the Republicans, you see it coming. With the Democrats, they're so much more underhanded about how they do this. They want to pretend like they're actually fighting on the side of justice, and then they go and do this. This is all you need to see. I mean, this gives away the game. To even be seen with them in this moment, under different circumstances, if this was 3 years ago, it would look ridiculous, but you're doing this now?
Can I just in being very clear, and this is just the general rule, okay? Any Politico that's participating with anything Zio at this point is a whore. Period.
You ain't
Period.
kidding.
So, and I don't honestly, I've always said, like, I like to know who the bigots are. I like to know who the whores are. So those parades have that benefit. When you look at those people, you know, those are the whores. There they go. They're
And you
owned
want
by
to know,
another state.
and while they're celebrating this, while they're out there in the streets, do you want to know what else happened over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen? There is an ancient city in southern Lebanon called Tyre.
Oh, I'm so angry.
This has been around for
So angry.
thousands of years, thousands. And this is what Israel did
So
to this town.
I just can't.
What ceasefire?
Do you know that this city, I was doing a little research on it, and I had heard of it before because I have heard of it as an ancient city. It's the entire city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Not just that it has World Heritage Sites, it is a World Heritage Site. So the people that somehow feel entitled to that land from 3,000 years ago, again, prove how little they think of that land. It's a fucking cradle of civilization, and look what they're doing. These disgusting beasts, these fucking pigs.
And this is exactly why, as we've pointed out, and you guys will if you stick around to the end of the show, we're going to show a clip tonight that's going to kind of bring all of this together. You'll understand why silence is guilt by association. The idea that this is going on now, you think this is going to stop? You think they're going to stop?
They will not stop until they are stopped, and that will happen in a variety of different ways.
Correct. Just look at that. This is what they have on paper. In the last 2 months that we're aware of, they have murdered 3,200 people in southern Lebanon. And this is an area that they're not even primarily focusing on. It's just one of several.
600 during the ceasefire.
Yeah. Ceasefire.
They're not going to win, Kevin.
ما بنترك سوريا يعني ما في إلنا غنى عنها. هم بده يروح يتشمشط الواحد وعائلة. لا بقعد هون حد بيتي حد على حجار بقعد وخلص.
You know, the amazing thing is that if this was one of those Ashkenazi, pasty white scumbag Zio pieces of garbage that bring their children, but if they were living in an area, let's say like Tyre, and bombs are raining down upon them and blowing up the area that they were living in, do you realize how fast they would be out of there? Do you realize how fast they would flee? Oh, take me, take me. I'm being oppressed. They're looking at this and saying, this is our homeland. You're going to have to kill us all. And the problem is that the Zionists will kill them all. They will not hesitate.
I am so fucking angry.
But now we're attached to it. If you thought that one was bad.
Oh, I'm just.
Hang in there.
I am someone who so appreciates real history, not made up history, but actual history. And that part of the world is the center. I mean, it came up from Ethiopia, like humans came up, but kind of migrated up to that little cradle of civilization, and it's amazing that people who claim to think that that's theirs, but they obviously hate it so much that they're willing to destroy it.
قبل ب5 دقايق طلعت على الدكانة محل جاس بنويع بدي اجيب اغراض فتح الدكانة قلت له لهالزلمة أنا ما فيش امشي لفيه يطلع اغلاط هو قام نقالي هالغلاط وبينزل لي وصل لهون كان محل من الإسعاف طلعت الغرب بوجهه شو اجى هالزلمة غميين الذي صار وأنا هذا كله صليت أرفنتي من عيث الشعب كل يوم غارة بالليل وبالنهار
Go back a second. Just go back like a second. How old was she? How long has she been dealing with this?
She's 100 years old.
Right, but she said like I've been dealing with I was.
هذا الذي صار وأنا هذا كله صليت أرفنتي من عيث الشعب كل يوم غارة بالليل وبالنهار وبالليل مثل بعضها
45% of southern Lebanon is destroyed.
Well, you've got more than like 1.2 million people that are displaced. Now,
Where are they going to go?
well, I do know this, that I do think that I know that Iran has just issued evacuation orders for northern Ziohel. And I think this might have been the last straw for them. I think they're going to bomb now. So their thought is that if you can force the Lebanese to evacuate, let's see how you like that. So they issued evacuation orders for people who aren't aware for the northern part of Israel. I do not know the exact size of that zone, but Iran's getting ready to strike Israel like directly.
Just remember, 5 out of 6 Israelis agree with the genocide. Agree with the genocide. Credit to Al Jazeera Plus, which does an amazing job of covering this information.
So that 224, that military merger that we're looking at right now, is this one of those things where only people like Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna can even remotely save us from that? Like,
well,
I feel like we're hanging on by a thread on that particular piece of legislation.
Well, the fact of the matter is that the only way you can actually solve this problem is if the people actually rise up. This is why, as a consequence, when we talk about the lack of interest in electoral politics, you still have to deal with the realities of somebody like a Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is still a sitting congresswoman, and she is going to vote in favor of this. Now, unfortunately, probably most of them will as well. It's those that choose to stand up in this moment that is critical. But they're selling us out left and right. And as a result, we are continuing to watch a genocide in real time. And it isn't just the Palestinian people, it's now the Lebanese. But it would not surprise me in the least if Iran decides.
If only I had another map. I have like this week in here. This is still the Iran edition, but we could just say this week and leave these people the fuck alone. I can't keep up with the maps fast enough.
No, and it's very difficult, but this is one of the things that you have been saying since the very beginning that this all went down. And when somebody asks, why do we continue to cover this? Because we have to bear witness to all of these crimes against humanity. That's our job. We have to do that.
Yeah, and it's my rage that I feel about being in that position that I struggle with, and hope that I can get to a place where that doesn't feel that I don't feel that rage, because it only really hurts me, and I don't, but
Well, here's to continuing to bear witness against crimes against humanity, and hopefully doing what we can to spark some type of a revolutionary moment here in this country. Speaking of a person who is sparking, at least from an electoral standpoint, because there's not many that we can really praise, but she's one of the special ones. Kshama Sawant has been at this for a very long time, and she has faced real tyrants like Amazon's Jeff Bezos, and has lived to tell about it with victories to back it up. And she is now running for Congress in Washington State in the 9th Congressional District against one of the biggest Zios in politics, Adam Smith. And it goes without saying that sometimes it just takes one voice to spark that change. And we've seen the impact that somebody like Thomas Massey has had. Now let's see what we can do to hopefully get Kshama onto Capitol Hill. You know her, you love her. Kshama Sawant, welcome back to Revolutionary Change.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Absolutely. It's good to see you. How's it going? How's the campaign going over there?
It's going really extremely well. We've raised $600,000. That is well over twice of any left challenger of Adam Smith ever. I mean, this guy has been, as you were saying, in Congress for nearly 30 years. He's been a warmonger for 30 years. And so, yes, we have raised $600,000 through more than 5,000 donations. And we have, just many thousands here in the district, but also we have donations from all 50 states and from Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. The demands that we are running on are extremely popular. I mean, look at the context we're running in, right? The New York Times Siena poll that was just released showing a even more deepening disillusionment is what they say in the two parties. And the Democratic base is only 33% of the Democratic base has any faith in the Democratic Party. Sorry, only 28% of the Democratic base has faith in the Democratic Party. Only 33% of the Republican base has faith in the Republican Party. In other words, the moral of the story here is that the vast majority of working people across blue states and red states are infuriated with both the Democratic and Republican parties. And that same poll showed that 2/3 of people under the age of 30 are angry at both parties and they want a new party. And so that's the context in which we are running as an independent, anti-war, pro-worker, revolutionary socialist. We are the only campaign, I am the only candidate that is calling for, in this race, calling for an end to all military aid to the Israeli state, an end to weapons and tech for genocide and imperialist war. We're calling to stop the data centers and the AI-related mass layoffs. And in relation to that, I'm fighting for a living wage jobs guarantee by expanding the public sector massively, funded by taxing the rich. We're also fighting for, as you know, free healthcare for all, funded by taxing the rich, for national rent control, for a national $25 an hour minimum wage. These demands are extremely popular. And I'll just say one thing, Jen and Peter, that when we are canvassing throughout the district, which we do all the time, and as far as I can see, we're the only campaign that's canvassing and talking to ordinary people. Sometimes young people, especially, they're angry. They don't want to stop because they think that we might be a Democrat. And then we have to tell them, no, we're neither Democrats nor Republicans. This is an independent candidate. On top of that, this is a candidate who has an unparalleled track record of winning victories like the nation's highest minimum wage and the Amazon tax. That's when we get people's attention, because as you were referring to, Peter, people are so just disgusted by politics. And how could they not be? Because here you have both parties that are funding genocide, both parties that have in majorities created and funded ICE. And I'll just say both parties that have funded war funding by war spending to the tune of $1 trillion last year. And you saw what happened last week. Adam Smith cheerfully joining Mike Rogers. Adam Smith is the ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee. Mike Rogers is the Republican chair of the House Armed Services Committee. Both of them all gung-ho releasing the new war funding bill for $1 trillion more. And on top of that, an unprecedented, shocking escalation of weaponry, AI, cyber, biotech weaponry for Israel. I mean, it is psychopathic. And the only way to stop this juggernaut is to have a real shake-up, a political earthquake in the U.S. Congress, and our campaign represents that potential.
Kshama, does Congressman Smith is he intending to vote yes on this Section 224 addition to the National Defense Authorization Act?
Yeah, just to make sure your viewers know, the Section 224 that you're referring to is what I was talking about, the shocking escalation in weaponry for Israel and the more like an unprecedented fusing of U.S. military and Israeli military. Well, how could he not? It's his bill. He unveiled it. He unveiled it jointly with Mike Rogers. Yeah. He unveiled it with Mike Rogers. And if he doesn't follow through, that will be a reflection of the pressure from below, from people's anger. And so if that does happen, you, all of us, and working class people, millions of us, we should take credit for it. And we should use that as an example of how actually mass pressure does work. But I don't see how he would not, because look, this is a guy who is being bankrolled and has been bankrolled by the Zionist lobby, by the billionaires of Palantir, Anduril, the billionaires like Alexander Karp, Joe Lonsdale, and a couple of others actually from Palantir, and the billionaires and multimillionaires of Anduril. These are all people who have donated money for Adam Smith's campaigns, but they are bipartisan donors. They are also funding Trump's war. So in other words, all of these wars are Trump's wars, and they are all bipartisan wars. And let's not forget that the genocide started under the Biden and the Democratic Party's leadership. So
Yes.
Adam Smith is, the truth is that Adam Smith is almost caricaturishly villainous. But what's scary about Adam Smith is not just Adam Smith himself, but the fact that the majority of the Democratic Party, for example, voted in December to give the $906 billion for war spending for Trump. The majority of the Democratic Party voted to give tens of billions of dollars for the genocide in Gaza. You know what I'm talking about. And that bill also included a ban on United Nations funding for food assistance to Gaza at a time when there were reports of catastrophic levels of mass starvation in Israel. And keep in mind, 173 Democrats voted to send tens of billions of dollars for the genocide, and it included 56 members of the so-called Congressional Progressive Caucus.
Oh, forget them, right? Like, they're ridiculous. I don't even know why. I don't even know why they bother.
No, I brought that up because that's the kind of that's a prime the so-called progressive Democrats, and I'm saying so-called very specifically because there's nothing progressive about what they do. But it is important for us to relentlessly explain to people, because the so-called progressive Democrats, they play a particular role, and that is the role of a gatekeeper, which is that purportedly they are on the side of working people. They are the people who will bring Medicare for all bills nominally, but never bring them to a vote. They are the people who will sometimes vote against some of the most egregious war spending bills, but then vote for others. So if you look at their voting record, it's quite spotty. But the role of the so-called progressive Democrats is the most insidious role that we have to call out, which is their role is not to do progressive things. They have not done any progressive things. The minimum wage nationally is $7.25. There's nothing progressive that they have achieved at all. What they do, what is their real actual role, is to give people an illusion of debate within the Democratic and Republican Party, so that working people are permanently straitjacketed within this two-party system where both parties are parties of the capitalist class. And we have to have a breakthrough out of it. If I can just say one other thing, in terms of electoral politics, the reason we're running this campaign, we don't we meaning my fellow revolutionary socialists and I, we don't make a dichotomy between electoral versus other strategies, because for us, the question is, what are the avenues available today for the working class to make the biggest breakthroughs possible and win the most breakthrough victories possible? Today, we are in this tragic situation where the labor leadership, the overwhelming majority of them anyway, I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, but the rule is that they are completely tied to business unionism, meaning labor leaders who just make their own careers. They make peace with the bosses, which means they also make peace with the bosses' parties. And you just saw the leadership of the Washington State Labor Council and the Washington Education Association just endorsed Adam Smith after having passed resolutions for Gaza ceasefire and all of that. They just endorsed Adam Smith. They didn't even invite me for a debate. They didn't invite me to speak to their membership, nothing. The leadership just rubber stamped Adam Smith. And so my point is that there are no avenues for breakthrough directly within the labor movement. We won the nation's highest minimum wage, not because the labor leadership led on it, but despite their gatekeeping against it. Because we had an elected office, we were able to independently mobilize rank and file union members and non-union workers. That is what we intend to do with the congressional position. It is not about electing one person. I'm not here to make my career. If I wanted to make a career, there are a million easier ways for me to go about it, much more peaceful ways for me to go about it. We are doing this because this is the only possible breakthrough we can win. And even that's going to be hard. So we need everybody's help.
So, and this is what I want to talk to you about, because we all know that, and we say it all the time, we're not voting our way out of this, right? We're in this sort of end of empire, fascist, oligarchic, apocalyptic nightmare. And obviously voting is not the only thing that we're going to be able to do. And as someone who has gone up against the corporatists, like to the point that you have, where do you think direct action falls into where we are now, especially when it comes to these data centers? because we're past being able to just like show up at commission meetings. And yes, it works every once in a while. And yes, there's breakthroughs, but I think it's not enough.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really important point, Jen, about that not being enough. But that also connects to why we are running for office and all of that. I mean, all of that is interconnected. But just starting from the point of data centers, yeah, I mean, first of all, it is absolutely inspiring how much unity there is actually in the working class. I mean, all the way from revolutionary socialists like ourselves and Mormon working people in Utah, all of us are against the data centers. I mean, it is the aside from the support for healthcare, free healthcare, this is the other, aside from free healthcare and actually now opposition to the wars, which is also now an absolutely unifying issue. This is another unifying issue. 7 out of 10 Americans are opposed to data centers. I mean, there's huge anger. There's also a lot of fight back. Actually, Workers Strike Back, my own organization, our activists were involved actually in winning a victory against a data center that was proposed in Pekin, Illinois, which is a small city next to Peoria, Illinois. And that was a real victory. I mean, this is a state where the Democratic governor, billionaire J.B. Pritzker, he had already promised $1 billion of tax giveaways to the companies who, I mean, the billionaires who they get tax giveaways, and then they're also the ones who profit from the data center. So they get gifts 2 times over, and working people get screwed 2 times over, both from the taxes they have to pay because taxes are regressive in most states, and because of all the detrimental impact of data centers. And so these victories are crucial. But Jen, you made an important point, which is that we are not going to be, first of all, it's going to be hard to stop many of these data centers, even through direct action. It's going to be necessary, absolutely necessary. And we need, Workers Strike Back is very much, we just had a national meeting discussion on this to talk about how we won in Pekin and what we need to do. And we absolutely intend to really, launch a big campaign around this as well. However, it's not going to be enough. Why? Because if you look at the dollars that are involved, I mean, AI chip maker NVIDIA just became the world's first $5 trillion company, meaning their stock market valuation is at $5 trillion, and then you had OpenAI that could reach $1 trillion valuation sometime this year. And similarly, Microsoft and Apple have hit $4 trillion valuation. And then you have Meta and Oracle. I mean, we are talking about trillions of dollars at play here. And so there is no way, excuse my language, but there is no way in fuck these multi-billionaires and multi-millionaires are going to let go of easily. So you know what they will do? They will wait us out because they have the money and the time and the resources to wait us out. They're also going to take other steps, like some of the cities that have had the temerity to fight back against them. These companies are bringing lawsuits against them for stopping the data centers. So they will do a drip of punishing against anybody who goes up against it. So my position is, and our position is, that we absolutely need to build a nationwide movement to defeat every possible data center. We need a coordinated movement of nonviolent civil disobedience and resistance against the data centers. But in addition to that, I'm sorry, but we need a fighter in Congress. We need a fighter in Congress on these issues and on every issue. And right now, we don't have any fighters in the US Congress. Everybody's a team player, and this is team genocide, team billionaire, team multimillionaire, team Israeli lobby. This is team AI and crypto. I don't want to belong to any of those teams. I am in team working class people who are fighting for a decent society, working class people who are fighting against the mass layoffs and the data centers, all of that. And so what we need is mass movements, coordinated mass movements that bring in hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people together on the streets, but not in the way that No Kings happened, where millions of people come, but it's as a safety valve. The Democratic Party controls the messaging, and those protests go nowhere. I'm talking about protests that will be led by revolutionary socialists and will actually create a real threat, a credible threat against the billionaires and multimillionaires. And that is what I have promised to do if we are elected. I have promised that if we are elected, I will turn, first of all, my congressional inauguration into a mass rally in Washington, D.C. of 10,000 people and immediately use my elected office to build the powerful movements. That is the whole point. I mean, imagine if we had 10 prominent labor leaders who were willing to use their profile and their base of millions of working people in order to actually mobilize for action. But they are not doing that. What happened in Minneapolis on January 23rd? The union leaderships were literally emailing their members saying, here's the language from the no strike clause of your union contract. You better not go on strike. Rather than organize a general strike, they're telling their members, don't go on strike. Don't have the courage to go on strike. This is an absolute dead end. I'm sorry, business unionism has been a complete death knell of the labor movement and movements generally. We need a breakthrough out of this.
Kshama, I think it is very important that people understand the difference between your race and Thomas Massey's race. The king of all kings decided to christen that race and make it very important to support that person. I don't think you have the same problem necessarily in your race, although Adam Smith will definitely have millions of dollars behind him from corporate special interests led by the Israel lobby. Are you finding, just based on, obviously this is a ground game campaign, no question about it, are you finding that there's a lot of disillusioned Democratic voters out there that are kind of tired of this and want to have a new path and are willing to entertain going the independent route at this point?
I think, that's again a very, very crucial question, especially as we head into the last 2 months of this primary. The primary is on August 4th. That's the first Tuesday of August. So I think there is this disconnect where, on the one hand, the vast majority of people, including in our district, are disgusted by the Democratic Party as they are by the Republican Party. And they want independent candidates. They want independent politics. They want people who are not going to be team players with these parties of the billionaires. But on the other hand, the complete contradiction that you have seen for years, and this is not a new thing, people have been angry for a while, but that contradicts completely with the 180-degree opposite fact, which is that the incumbency rate in Congress is very high. What that tells you is that people are angry, but they don't have alternatives that they can align with and that they can vote for. In this race, this time they do have an alternative. But yes, it is all about our canvassing, because not only is the corporate media carrying out a complete blackout, Jen and Peter, you know what I'm talking about. Even the supposedly progressive media, the podcasts don't cover us. You are one of the exceptions to the rule. There are a few that cover us, the rest don't. And the reason they don't is not coincidental. The reason they don't is that they can sound like they're critical of the Democratic Party, but at the end of the day, they are loyal to the Democratic Party, and they're never going to have me unless there's pressure on them. And so we have to combat that. That is what makes our job, our task, very difficult. And that is why I don't go around giving guarantees to people that we're going to win. I say that our demands are extremely popular. We have shown that we can win. I won every election of my 4 elections. And one of those, remember, was a recall attempt against me by Trump supporting corporate landlords. And the Democratic Party did not say a word against that recall attempt. But we defeated them as well. We were able to win victory after victory, including the Amazon tax and unprecedented renters' rights, despite having the vast majority of the labor leadership against us, and the Democratic Party, which obviously serves big business, does not, and billionaires, does not serve working people. So that's the kind of opposition we overcame. So we have shown that it's possible, but it also shows that it's an uphill task. It is a very, very difficult task. So I am serious when I say that I don't care where you are, whether you are in Blaine, Washington, or you are in Jacksonville, Florida. We need your help. If you agree with our message, if you are excited by the idea of having a fighter in Congress, one fighter that can actually turn the tables on the billionaire class, then we need your help. You absolutely should support us. That's why we have support from all across the nation.
And if I might add, the fact that you have raised over $500,000 at this point, you're now at $600,000, and I don't want to take anything away from any of the other candidates that are in this race, but let's be honest. It's you and it's Congressman Smith. That is who is going to be the top two candidates. Washington, as you know, guys, is one of 4 states in the union that has a jungle primary system, meaning that it doesn't matter what party you're in. You could be independent, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter. The top 2 go to the general. And so with that being said, you are not only a legitimate campaign, you will raise $1 million before the November election. So the idea that there are people that are not giving your campaign the credit that it deserves, especially since you're a legitimate candidate, you've been elected to city council, you have actually been a national figure in your, we'll just say, David versus Goliath, labor fights against Bezos. I think there really is something to be said for your campaign. And for anybody out there, especially in independent media, who is not even entertaining your campaign, just goes to show you how the reason so many people do the things that they do has nothing to do with a mission. It has to do with a career. First and foremost.
Here, Kshama, check it out. Check it out.
Well,
This is the updated. I need one to add some people, but I thought you might appreciate my Bezos rendering.
Well, of
and
course.
These are the people who need 400-foot yachts. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but right after Meta and Mark Zuckerberg laid off 8,000 workers, 1,400 of them in our area here, he had the nerve to bring his 400-foot yacht and park it at Lake Union. People were so angry. I mean, really.
His yacht has a yacht.
His yacht has a yacht. Yes, I talked about that too. His yacht has a yacht because a floating palace needs a floating garage as well. And, so our message is, look, that is Zuckerberg, and this is true for all billionaires. That is Zuckerberg giving a giant fuck you to the working class. I'm going to lay off 8,000 hardworking people, and then I'm going to park my ostentatious and absolutely super ugly super yacht right in your doorstep, right on your shores. And that is the kind of shamelessness they have. I mean, it's also capitalism as a system is a psychopathic system. It's a sociopathic system. It engenders that kind of sociopathic behavior from these billionaires whose wealth depends on continuing to exploit human beings, animals, and the natural resources. And so we need to give a giant fuck you back to the billionaires like Zuckerberg. And that is why this campaign is so crucial. And, Peter, you were saying that how the media and even the so-called progressive media are not covering our race, even though it is such a legitimate campaign. I would say that they're not covering because it's a legitimate campaign, meaning that we have shown that we can defeat the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, and the billionaire class. We have shown that repeatedly, and they don't want to help us on the way there. And that is why you see them not covering us. That's why you also see labor leaders supporting Adam Smith. And quite frankly, the other Democrat that's running in this race, I mean, she literally said to a Democratic Party audience recently, I was there, she said, I'm a team player. It's like, you can rely on me. I will be a team player. My appeal to everybody watching this is we don't need more team players on team genocide, team billionaire, team Zionism. What we need is working class fighters in Congress who will not go there for careerist reasons. And I can hardly think of anybody who's not a careerist. And I'm not. And I'm not promoting our campaign because it is mine or ours. I am promoting this because tragically for the working class, this is the only campaign of this kind. And the work that we did in Seattle and the victories that we won tragically is the only example we can offer. I mean, contrast it to the hundreds of Democratic Socialists of America elected. They have not won anything substantial in comparison to ours. And then on top of that, you have AOC, who voted to break the railroad workers' strike, who voted for the Iron Dome, and who went to Munich, really sort of basically.
So wait, Kshama. So wait, you mean to tell me that Hasan Piker has not reached out to you to have you interviewed on his podcast? That
No.
hasn't happened yet?
No.
Yeah. Well, considering that Hasan is already touting AOC for president, you can see why. Nice.
God, she is just so out of her league with that. It's silly, and everybody can see it. It's ridiculous. One of the things that we talk about a lot on here is that what is one person going to do? And you alluded to that in what you were saying in terms of using your voice and using your platform. And I think that is the most important thing you can do. But I don't think people really understand how infuriating it is when you fight nonstop for labor and the labor unions don't even give you the time of day. Because I know, like, it's infuriating. And it's such this, I think, misconception of when we say labor that we're talking about unions. And we're not talking about unions. I mean, there's some that are better than others, but, so explain the level of frustration when you're a fighter for workers and yet the unions do not have your back.
I would make a distinction. I think that's what you're trying to get at, Jen, the distinction between the leadership of unions that are business unionist and the few exceptions that aren't business unionist, but they're very, very hard to find these days, and the rank and file that is angry at the business union's leadership. And most of the union, unfortunately, what has happened is because of the business union's leadership, meaning leadership that is not fighting for workers, not building militant struggle, let alone any kind of strike action or general strike. And they're not even fighting for their own contracts. Really, it's always, you hear the term bargaining table. You don't hear fight back. You don't hear strike. It's always about the bargaining table. It's a very, very mistaken idea that somehow you bargain as workers, you bargain for your rights against the bosses. No, the bosses have no reason to concede to your demands unless you create leverage for yourself. And for that, you have to build a fight back, because capitalism's status quo is that the bosses have all the power, they have all the wealth, they have all the political clout, and they have every aspect of power to crush you. And the only way you as workers can gain something is if you collectively fight back and you shut down the profit machine. That is the only threat we can pose to the bosses and their system, is to shut down their profit machine. And that's why strikes and general strikes are so very crucial. But that's not happening because the labor leadership are gatekeepers against their union members. So in our analysis, we make a distinction between rank and file union members who do want to fight. I'm not implying that they necessarily agree with us on every single thing, but the point is, do they want to fight back? And keep in mind, union members are 10% maybe of the workforce. The rest of the labor, rest of the working class is not unionized. So we both we fight along, we try to mobilize rank and file union members, and we try to mobilize non-unionized workers. And because we refuse to accept the gatekeeping by the labor leaders is why we are able to win. I mean, just to give you an example, when I was campaigning for $15 an hour in our first city council campaign in 2013, back then, at that time, the labor leaders, I used to be at my table. I used to be there every day. I mean, the Stranger actually wrote an article about me saying, how does Kshama Sawant manage to be in all places at all times? Because I was going to every protest action. I was actually putting forward demands for taxi drivers, rideshare drivers, all of that. And so we were campaigning for 15. I would be at my table, and the labor leaders would come and yell at me to my face, saying, "Don't talk about 15 because you can't say 15. We don't want to build, we don't want to build against that about that. We are making deals with the bosses." Basically, they're always in wheeling and dealing mode. They're having behind the scenes discussions with the bosses, and it's okay for them, precisely for the reason that Peter said. They're careerists. So in other words, when they go and talk to the bosses, they are looking out for their own careers, not for the working class. If they were looking out for the working class, then they would want to do what I'm doing, which is a militant fight back. And so they absolutely did not want 15 to even be mentioned, but it is because I won my election, which ended up being the referendum on 15. I mean, the Seattle Times said that my election was a referendum on 15 because that was our flagship demand. So people who were voting for me, I was completely unknown. We were just, out of nowhere. And people voted for me because they wanted to fight for $15 an hour. So my election was a referendum on 15. And that forced the labor leadership, it forced a choice on them. Either they can completely lose face by being on the sidelines and not fighting for 15, or they could join the struggle and then do something about it. That's how we were able to push for it. And so as far as being frustrated, I am angry about their betrayals, but I don't get frustrated in the sense that I don't expect anything different from them. They are business unionist leaders. I know this is what they're going to do. And to the extent that they get away with it, it is an indication of how far we have to go in building a militant rank and file uprising, and we are so far from it. I mean, yes, I do. Frustration is one thing, one way of expressing it. The other way of expressing it is for me to just give sober assessments of how bad things are in the labor movement and how much of a fight back we need. But the way this type of fight back will happen is not like a linear thing of one day at a time. We need breakthrough victories, and that is why we are fighting so hard for this campaign, because I have no doubt in my mind that if we were elected, it will be nothing short of a political earthquake. It will give us an international platform to actually begin building fighting movements for workers. And the labor movement, the labor leadership will not do, they won't be able to stop us. I mean, they will try to, and it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying that it's all rosy after that. It will be a massive struggle at every step of the way.
Yeah.
All my 10 years on the city council were a struggle every step of the way against the gatekeepers. But that is an opportunity for us to build that fight back while having the attention of millions of American working people. And I'll tell you something, the idea of me being in Congress is an absolute nightmare for the billionaires and for the Democrats and Republicans. I really want working people who are watching this to join me so that we can make the billionaire nightmare and the Democratic and Republican party's nightmare come true, so we can actually do something in Congress. And one other thing is, Jen, you were saying, what can one person do? I mean, that's what we did in Seattle. When I was elected, I say we because I'm referring to working people and me, and I don't mean Democrats and me, I mean working people and me,
Right.
many of whom identify as Democratic voters, but they're not the Democratic politicians or the operatives or the lobbyists. When I was elected, everybody said, well, you can't do much as one person. Now you just, you need to stop being an activist. Now you need to learn from others on the council. That is absolutely bullshit, because the others on the council, meaning the Democratic Party members, politicians, they are the class enemies of the working class. It would have been fatal had I gone to city council and said, oh, these are my colleagues. No, I had to have a very clear class lens, understanding who's on the side of the working class and who is not, and understanding that as nasty and vicious as many of the gatekeepers are against me, and they are, right now there's a turbocharged character assassination machine against me on the ground here in the Seattle area, in the district. But it's not about me. They are doing that because that's one of their weapons against our efforts to build a movement. And so we have to be undeterred and keep building that type of movement. And that is the way we would use that office. I mean, the Seattle Times and the corporate lobbyist, actually the main corporate landlord lobbyist at the time when I was on the city council, he admitted publicly that corporate landlords simply could not win while I was in City Hall. And it's a fact. They simply could not win. Not only did we prevent them from winning anything, we went on the offensive and won unprecedented victories for renters' rights, like a $10 cap on late rent fee, like a winter evictions ban, like a ban on evictions of school children and public school workers during a school year. I mean, you don't have these kinds of laws in so many other cities. But he said correctly so that the reason the corporate landlords could not win was because of quote unquote Sawant's army. And he's dead right. We built an army with one elected office. We built an army of working class people. That is precisely what we intend to do if we are elected to Congress. And that is why no matter where you are in the nation, you have something at stake here to help us get elected. Because if we can get elected, we will have one elected office that is not on team genocide and team billionaire. And that way we can actually accomplish something.
Kshama, I want to ask you what you think the key to your success has been, because any type of left populist uprising that has happened in this country either gets co-opted. There's a lot of saboteurs. Jen and I experienced that firsthand with certain people who found their way into our orbit. There is also something to be said for the hierarchy in the labor movement. Randy Weingarten of the Teachers Union is one of the best examples of that. What would you say has worked for you that has allowed you to get to this point? I mean, do you just sniff out the bad apples pretty quickly? There's got to be perhaps a method or a strategy that others who are, perhaps there are, again, I would definitely say that one of the advantages is to getting into some form of elected office, if you are already city council, county commission, that there are people that are out there in this country that are trying to figure out that pathway. Like, what is it that they should be doing? So what would you say has worked effectively for you outside of the two-party system that others could be emulating right now?
I think, first of all, I would say that you cannot, I mean, if people, lots of people ask me, I should run for office. And I'm saying, no, actually, you should not. And you know why? Because you cannot do what we have accomplished. And this goes to your question, Peter, how did we achieve this level of success? Unless you have the analysis that we have. And honestly, the reason we have the analysis we have is because we are Marxists, and because myself and the group of revolutionary socialists and Marxists around me through Revolutionary Workers, my organization, which is also Revolutionary Workers is also part of Workers Strike Back, the wider organization, working class organization that I founded coming out of my city council work. It's because my fellow revolutionary socialists and we are very clear together about what it takes. And just to give you an example, and you alluded to it already, the saboteurs. Yeah, we have seen a lot of saboteurs even inside the Marxist movement. I mean, for example, in 2024, sorry, go ahead.
No, every movement. That's what I was going to say. They're everywhere.
Yes. Oh, they're everywhere. Yes, exactly. I totally agree. They're everywhere. I'm just saying that includes the Marxist movement as well. Several of us, including myself, dozens of us, we left Socialist Alternative, my previous organization that I was part of for over a decade, because the rest of the leadership, I mean, I was on the leadership too, and a couple of others who are with me now or were also on the leadership, but we could see the direction that it was going in, where they did not want to build Workers Strike Back. They literally wanted us to take $350,000 from working people and then do nothing with it. I mean, that is like, it would have been the most unprincipled thing ever. We refused to do that. And that was the proximate reason we left. But it was overall, there was a deeper political difference that we just want to remain irrelevant. We don't want to take on actual class struggle. Wanting to be irrelevant is also a form of opportunism, because if you're not fighting for something, then the ruling class doesn't attack you. The Democratic Party doesn't attack you because you're of no consequence. The reason I get attacked relentlessly is because we have shown that not only are we relevant, we fucking win, and we know how to win, and we are relentless. And that's part of what it takes also. It takes absolute relentlessness, but it takes relentlessness of, I don't just mean working hard. Obviously, it takes all of that, and it requires the sacrifice of hundreds, thousands of people. But it's not just that. It is what the other thing that you said, the sniffing out of the gatekeepers, that is very, very crucial. And having the stomach to go up against gatekeepers, that is the hardest thing, because of consciousness of the massive, because a lot of people feel, well, but why are you being mean to that person or whatever? I have lots of people coming up to me and saying to me, well, I like what you stand for, but do you have to be critical of this or that Democrat or this or that labor leader? It takes a real stomach to stand up to them. I'll give you a concrete example of where it looked to the kind of stomach that only Marxists have, and not very many Marxists do, even at that, is when we were fighting for the Amazon tax. We launched the Tax Amazon movement in January of 2020, along with my re-election inauguration. We turned my inauguration ceremony into the launch of the movement. And when was the last time you saw something like that, right? I mean, it wasn't about praising anyone elected. It was about turning it into a movement. But, a couple of months after that, as you can remember, COVID hit, stay at home happened, and then the George Floyd rebellion began. We had a whole parade of BLM so-called leaders, I call them misleaders, who immediately went on a rampage against the Tax Amazon movement. Why? Because the Amazon tax demand was hugely popular among the rank and file of the BLM movement. I mean, people were like, fuck yeah, I want to sign that petition. I want to tax Amazon. It was that popular. We collected 30,000 signatures in 3 months for a ballot initiative, which turned out to be the credible threat, which forced the Democrats on the city council to vote yes on the Amazon tax. But all of that happened only because we had the stomach, the backbone to stand up to the gatekeepers. And what happened was all these BLM misleaders who were tied to the Democratic Party and big business, they were on in all these unholy alliances. They started going around spreading a rumor mill saying Amazon tax is not a black issue. She is co-opting, Kshama is co-opting, she's not black. She needs to
Right.
sit down and listen to black people. By what they mean is sit down and not fight for the black working class and poor people. And then the DSA leaders got on board with them saying, yeah, Kshama really needs to stop now. Like let the black people lead. I mean, all of this is code for sit down and sell out the black working class people. By couching it as listen to black people means listen to the black gatekeepers. Don't listen to the thousands of black people who want the Amazon tax. And so the kind of backbone it takes to stand up to those gatekeepers, that is the if you asked me, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we succeed, but if you pressed me and asked me to name one thing that was the secret of success, that's the secret, is the understanding, the ability to sniff out gatekeepers and the backbone to defeat them, to overcome them, even despite all the rumor mill, despite the character assassination, despite all the attacks. That's what it takes.
And I also want to point out to the person, Tom, in the chat, who was saying that I can't get on with Marxism. Here's the problem, buddy. And this is what I would say to everybody. If you are so deathly afraid of one Marxist getting into federally elected office, then you are completely indoctrinated and do not realize just how subjugated you are against a broken system. Because if anything, one voice could actually force that change. I'm not a Marxist, but I also—
Here's the thing. I would suggest to that person, I am so sorry, but this is infuriating. I would suggest to that person that they don't know what a Marxist is. I would suggest that the majority of people that come and say stuff about communism, socialism, Marxism, fascism, really have no idea what they're talking about. In fact, I know that's true because I've met a lot of those people that say things, they don't even know what they're talking about. So that would serve you better to understand what you were talking about.
If you are not fighting along class lines, and this is also what I think gives you a great deal of leverage, because you are a woman, you are Indian American, and there are many directions that people could try to pull it to say, oh, you're not focused on this, and you're not woke enough on this. And it's like, what makes you uniquely special, in my opinion, is that you always direct it back to economics. It is always about the working class struggle. You do not allow anything to pierce that conversation. And you are very left on probably all issues. So the idea that you have this sort of economic tunnel vision, which I've often said is really all that matters. And again, I'm a white male, so I've heard it before about, oh, it's your privilege and this, that. It's like, look, when you get right down to it, the only people who make a big stink about social issues that have nothing to do with economics are people who are benefiting from this broken economic system and don't want it changed. And in Seattle, which is one of the most underrated wealth gap cities in the world, it goes without saying that your message is probably resonating in a big way. So let's wind the conversation down with the brass tacks about the campaign. Obviously, we know what people can do from around the country. We've been at this before with 2 federal elections. Phone banking, text banking, social media engagement. There's a lot of different ways from afar that people can get involved. What are some things at the local level that would be helpful to your campaign right now, leading up to not just the primary, but the general election?
Yeah, one of the most important things that would be beneficial to the campaign is just to have as many canvassers as possible. So if people are watching this and they're able to actually come to Seattle for whatever duration, even if you, for example, we have people who live in Portland, Oregon, which is at a driving distance, but it's a few hours, sometimes come for the weekend or even for a day. Then we have people coming from the Bay Area for months, sometimes weeks. We have people coming from New York and Boston and also Florida, North Carolina. So there are people coming from all over, but there can't be enough, So if you are watching this and you are able to set aside time, or if you're taking a break between jobs or between school semesters or whatever, you should, just contact our campaign, just write to us at, just go to kshamasawant.org and you'll find a form where you can contact us, or just, contact Jen and Peter and they'll know how to contact me. That's not a problem at all. And that's what we need the most, because the as we discussed earlier, Peter, Jen, the biggest obstacle we're facing is how it's not obviously the Zionist and the AI and the crypto money that we're facing, the all the people who are the billionaires who are supporting our main opponent, Adam Smith, but it's also the media blackout from the corporate media, from none of the progressive media having us on. I mean, can you imagine? This is the strongest challenge. Our campaign is the strongest challenge to Zionism and to the billionaire class in Congress. And none of these so-called progressive media want to have me on. I even say, have me on for a debate. If you don't agree with me on everything, fine. I'm not shy. We can have a debate. But the point is that they don't want working class people to know about the campaign. Why? Because they know working people will agree with me. And the thing is about the corporate media also, the corporate media spent a lot of ink attacking me in the 10 years. You know what it ended up doing? It ended up sending the message to working class people about what I was fighting for.
Streisand effect. It's the
And then they agreed with me. Yeah. I had so many people coming up to me in Goodwill and the grocery store and everything saying, they attacked you, but I'm so glad I read that because I totally agree with you. So attacking me doesn't help, and covering our campaign doesn't help. That is why they're doing this type of blackout. And to overcome that, the only way we can reach the hundreds of thousands of people in this district who we know agree with us, but don't know about our campaign yet, that's why we need canvassing help. I mean, there are a lot of people actually also, I should say, who don't vote on a regular basis because they're so disenchanted, understandably. We need to mobilize the non-regular voters in addition to the regular voters in order to be able to get through. I mean, and keep in mind, we need help right now, most of all, because see, if we make it into the general election, that would be a head-to-head matchup between our campaign and Adam Smith. That makes it very hard, almost impossible for the media to ignore. So the best option for the billionaire class and their political servants in the two parties and all the gatekeepers, the best thing for them is for me not to get into the general election. That is why we need help now to get into the general election. And let me tell you what we are up against. It's not only the super PACs of the corporations and the billionaires. It's also, as I said, this other Democrat who's running, who says that she's a team player. She even said things like that she thinks that Adam Smith has done great work, and a lot of people. I mean, how can you say somebody who has voted for genocide and to create ICE has done great work? I mean, I just don't know what that means. I mean, that basically means this person is a careerist and she's running to make her own career. But a lot of people will just vote on the D, because her name will say D. Yeah. And that is why we need canvassers to come and join us so that we can reach as many people as possible to explain to them that our campaign is actually in their interest. And the thing is, it's almost magical. When people hear our demands and my track record of winning, it completely transforms. I mean, they immediately feel invested in the campaign. That is how we have raised $600,000, because so many working class people have so much confidence in our work. I mean, just to share with you an anecdote, we had a table a couple of months ago, and one of our volunteers was at the table, and a young woman came up to the table, and she just absolutely loves what we stand for. She literally put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a bunch of dollars and change and said, "Here you go. Those are." She's a restaurant worker. She said, "Those are all my tips for the day." That kind of sacrifice people are making, and that is why we take this deadly seriously. We will be fighting for every single vote, and so if you take this deadly seriously as well, and if you want a fighter in Congress, then help us win this. Help us get into the general election.
Well, we will use our platform for all it's worth. We will also help you in other ways. Anybody out there who knows us, and look, we know plenty of people. We know plenty of people who probably should be giving you coverage, and they're not. So we're going to do what we can to try to get more attention drawn to this campaign. Hats off also to Nick Cruz. I know he's been working with you. He's been doing an amazing job. RBN obviously uses their platform, Savvy Sabs. There are good people out there that are helping, but you cannot leave any stone unturned. So if there's anything we can do, guys, link is in the description for Kshama's campaign. this is if anybody, and especially anybody who is disillusioned after what just happened with Thomas Massie, this is the election to pick up your spirits. This is the election to put a fighter in there who is going to do the exact same thing. You thought Massie was sassy when it came to speaking out against the genocidal state of Israel. You wait and see what happens if Kshama Sawant gets to Capitol Hill. You ain't seen nothing yet. Because one thing about Massie, he's kind of a lone wolf. Kshama will show up with 10,000 people behind her saying, fuck Israel. Okay, so that's exactly why you need to put somebody in there like her that could make that type of a difference.
That might be the only way I'd go back to DC, actually. The last time we were there with Doctors Against Genocide. Peter and I went there and walk those halls, and it's a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time.
Oh, yeah,
I honestly, I
nothing.
decided then, like I said to him, like, I'm never coming back here. I'm never coming back
That's
here.
that's not how we can win anything. I mean, look at California, right? The Democratic Party has the governor's mansion and a supermajority in both houses of Congress, and they crushed Medicare. I mean, single payer healthcare efforts 4 times. 4 times. And now you have the leadership of the nurses union and all these unions, slew of unions getting behind vulture fund, fossil fuel capitalist Tom Steyer. I mean, there are no words to describe how disgraceful this is. And it is a reminder, it is a grim reminder of quite how much we have to actually rebuild an actual fighting labor movement. And I just wanted to say, yes, you mentioned Nick Cruz. I really appreciate Nick Cruz and also you dissidents, for covering this, and for all of you for being the exceptions to the rule in the progressive media who are not covering us. And I hope others do as well. And as I said, if people want to invite me for a debate, that's fine. I will. That's great. Actually, debates are also often quite clarifying. And if you want to invite me and Adam Smith, go ahead. If Adam Smith has the guts to come for a debate, then
not in a million years. He would never in a million years. No, they don't.
The one thing we've learned about the democratic process in this constitutional republic that is dying by the day. Remember, you don't even want to dignify him by his name, but Ed Galrine was supposed. There were 8 debates in Massey's district, and he refused to show up to a single one of them. Adam Smith can't show up to a debate with you. He could never answer a question better than you could. Because once you're corporate captured, that is the end of the road. And you were mentioning earlier, when we were going through the trials and tribulations of being involved in electoral politics, and we saw that in the early stages, specifically around 2017, 2018, there were merits to the Sunrise Movement, and they were doing good work. But as soon as they linked up with the Democratic Party and the Biden administration, that was the end of the organization. As soon as they did it, it was over. And I told that to somebody who was high up in the organization, and sure enough, we were right. And so anyone who, when you talk about joining the Democratic Party is basically going to a graveyard for progressive populism, that is exactly what happens. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you have the opportunity. It's one opportunity, but a legitimate one, to elect a true independent to Congress.
Okay, so let Kshama explain. Okay, now you're being silly in there. Let Kshama explain what she wants to say, because I understand what you're going to say, but please have the floor. Explain, school the people about the Marxism comment, please.
No, I agree with everything you both said, Jen and Peter. I was just going to say that to the person who said, I don't like Marxism, or I can't with Marxism or whatever. Look, we are not going around asking people to agree with us about Marxism. We are saying, do you think that the world is completely fucked up right now? And the majority of people agree with us. Do you think we need free healthcare for all funded by taxing the rich? Yes, the majority of people agree with us. Do you think that Wall Street should be taxed in order to, that's the bare minimum that needs to happen in order to be able to fund schools and housing and to make decent life affordable? Then yes, the majority of people agree with us. And if you talk about the genocide and the wars, we are at such incredible agreement at this moment that even Republican voters under the age of 50, the majority of them are against Israel and the genocide. That's the incredible, and I love Jen's earrings. I just saw a comment on that. I was admiring them from the first moment I got here. So if you look at the spectrum of concrete issues, the vast majority of us are in agreement. And there was a reason why Bernie Sanders' 2016 campaign, with the political revolution against the billionaire class slogan, why it attracted tens of millions of people, because people want a fight back. What happened after that was a complete sellout, where you had Bernie Sanders turn around and endorse Hillary Clinton, and then basically toe the line with the Democratic Party and completely remove all the fight from it. And now things are so bad that our revolution has endorsed Tom Steyer, billionaire Tom Steyer in California. That's what I mean. I am not exaggerating when I say that things on the left are in utter shambles. And
What
this
left?
this breakthrough that our campaign represents, if we can win, that is, I'm dead serious. This is a real shot we have at turning things around. It's not a small thing. It's a big, big deal.
Kshama, last thing before you go, have you connected with Butch Ware? Have you spoken with him directly?
Yes, I have spoken with him directly. Actually, myself and Calvin, the political director of our campaign, we had a conversation with him and his campaign manager, Jason Call, some months ago. I also endorsed Butch Ware for governor. And I've made it very clear that it is shameful that the majority of the labor leadership and also the leadership of California DSA has gotten behind Tom Steyer, and that we need independent politics, and we need independent politics in Congress, in California, and in every state in America.
Well, here's hoping. Obviously, tomorrow is the primary election in California. If you're already in touch with Butch, I have no doubt that he's definitely an ally and somebody that would, without question, there's a lot of crossover there where I'm sure he could help, just bring even more attention to the campaign. So we'll do what we can on our end as well. And the primary election, what's the date again in August?
That's the first Tuesday of August. I believe it's August 4th.
Okay. Well, let's have you back right before the primary election. We'll bring you back on to do one more final push, and then obviously we'll have you on leading up to the general, because knock on wood, with a little bit of Irish luck, you will be in the general.
I appreciate that, but but you know what? It genuinely is uphill, because a lot of these, Democratic legislative districts and all of these organizations are, what they're going to do? It's going to be hard for them to openly endorse Adam Smith. So they're going to spread the word saying, okay, you find Adam Smith unpalatable. Here's the other Democrat. You should vote her in.
Dummy candidate. Yeah, that's what they do. And they're going to, whoever this lady is that's running, she'll get $1 million. They'll pump money into her. This is the thing. And this is the thing about collapsing empire. You took out all the guardrails, and now the people that truly control everything, like Jeff Bezos, can literally wipe $1 million, wipe their ass with $1 million and just throw it at a campaign. Say, hey, put that person up there. We can't possibly have Kshama Sawant in the general election. I agree with you. I think without question, they're going to try everything that they can to stop you, but you have the people behind you, and that is a huge step in getting this done. But you don't even think about taking your foot off the accelerator. So we'll do what we can to help and make sure that you get there for November.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Thanks,
really
Kshama.
appreciate it.
It was good to see you.
Great to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, this is why we do it.
I love her. She's such a badass.
How could you not? And this is why we do what we do. And we ask you that if you are so considerate, please consider going to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty, yet heavily, insanely suppressed channel.
It's absurd. It's so silly at this point. Like when I look at the YouTube studio every day, I'm like, they're just like, at this point, it's just silly.
We have 2 clips that dropped today that have combined together probably achieved close to 10,000 views. And yet somehow in a day, and yet somehow we've only got 300 people watching at a time. But there's nothing to see here, folks. We're just imagining things. But for those that are here supporting us,
Sabby's live, though.
Duly noted with the $10. I'm sure there's plenty of our military who don't condone this, let alone want to stand shoulder to shoulder with a child serial killer. I couldn't be responsible with what I do if I was enlisted. And you're right. This Section 224 nightmare cannot be overstated. It's absolutely insane what they're attempting. But this is what happens when the people don't rise up. And this is why the people need to rise up. And that's what we're trying to push. Jim Talib with the $5 super sticker. Always a pleasure, and we really appreciate you, my friend. Natalie with the
Oh,
9.99.
Sabbath Tuesday. Sorry.
I appreciate you two so much. We appreciate you, Natalie, and we really obviously appreciate your support, and obviously contributing helps spread the word.
Absolutely.
Wolfenstein with the $10. Low education kills. Yes, that is exactly why when
On
you think,
purpose.
well, of course, that's always been the intention. You know who was the first proponent, ladies and gentlemen, of a low educated population in the history of the United States? You know who's the first powerful person to advocate for a dumbing down of the US population? The richest man who ever lived, John D. Rockefeller. That was one of the things that he advocated for. We don't need smart people. We need workers who will work till they're dead. That's what he advocated for. Piano Man with the $10 super sticker. Thank you very, very much. Mark J with the $5. Kshama Sawant is amazing, right up there with Gandhi. Thank you.
Oh, she would be so, she would probably be really touched by that.
Thank you, Peter and Jen, for truth and outrage. A national strike is the way forward. I have a feeling that it's coming. Something like,
Do we shadow ban? We don't shadow ban. We are shadow banned.
We're shadow ban. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Somebody's saying, do we shadow ban? No, I don't. We don't have power to do any of that.
No, the only, and again, if you're talking about blocking people, the only people who get blocked on this channel are people who incite against other people. You want to talk shit to us?
And assholes.
Correct.
If you don't be a bigot and you don't be an asshole to the other people in the chat, to us, to our guests, and act like a human being like you would if you were in person, then you can stay in our chat. Right? Yeah.
Kenman, if anybody has ever seen the movie Don't Look Up, it's one of the key elements of that film is when Jennifer Lawrence is asking people, you know that this meteor is coming and this guy's helping cause it. And they're like, yeah, but he's going to bring jobs here. And that's the same thing that they'll buy with Adam Smith. And this is what happens when generationally people stay in Congress forever. It's one of the reasons why Wasserman Schultz may be on her way out, because ultimately, redistricting is one of the only ways that this happens. And unfortunately, in the state of Washington, it is a deep blue state, and Adam Smith has been protected forever, and that's not stopping. So, can Kshama pull it off? I actually think she could. I think there's a chance.
I hope so. She's got money. She's got money. And again, guys, she doesn't need to have, just so you guys know, she doesn't need to have more money than him. Like that might not, that's never going to happen. She just needs enough money to do what she needs to do and hit as many doors as she needs to hit.
That is correct.
So if she's got good money,
and
then
Jen, on top of everything else, she's a known commodity in Seattle. Yes. She's been in elected office for a decade. Like there's no way they're underestimating this race.
Let me be very clear. And this is to any content creators or any people out there. I don't care what they label themselves. People can call themselves whatever the hell they want, okay? If you are not platforming people that are fighting for workers and workers' rights, and you're not platforming them now, then you are not on the left. You're not on the left. You're not a leftist. You're just not. You're not a leftist, let alone a progressive. You're just not. If you don't platform the people that are speaking up against the corporatists, you are not a leftist. So guys, understand that. Understand that.
Yes. And we know who some of these people are, guys. And we're going to reach out to all of them to make sure that they are at least aware that Kshama has, and that's what I'm going to do. That's what we're going to do. We are going to let people know that Kshama Sawant is in a legitimate competitive race for Congress. She has raised over $500,000 in the primary, in a jungle primary state. She's legit. So if you're not giving her coverage, then you're showing your whole ass. Noria with the $10. Thank you, Jen and Peter. Thank you for your support. And of course, one of our absolute favorite people who is exceptionally generous, Teresa, gifting the maximum 5 Revolutionary Change memberships at the top level. Thank you very much. And Ozma with the $9.99. Thank you guys for having Kshama on and letting her do her thing. Of course. Kshama. Yeah, let her go. Like when she's going, let her go. She is
seriously speaking. If Kshama wins and she's in Congress, that would be the only way I would go back to DC and participate in any capacity.
Oh, let me tell you,
that would be the only. I can't think of another way.
Kshama's the type of person that if she were to pull it off, she would want you involved in her, you know, whatever you want to call it, administration. Kshama's the type of person that would also create a legitimate movement for mutual aid. You know, there's a lot of different things that could be done. And there's a reason why speaking out is imperative, because as we bring this conversation full circle, we talk about at great length how the Streisand effect is a real thing in politics, and how when you draw attention to something that for whatever reason doesn't need attention, when you go too far, then a lot of people start to notice. You see, if our channel got shut down completely and YouTube just said, hey, you bash Israel too much, we can't have you on there anymore, that would have the Streisand effect for our channel. Instead, what they do is they bury us in the corner and pretend like we don't exist.
Right.
So, for whatever reason, the UK seems to be a lot worse at this than the US is. The UK can't get out of their own way, and so they're just banning people left and right, including friend of the show, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks.
Banned from the United Kingdom. They said that the British government has rejected my visa. They did not give an explanation at that time, but we now have the explanation. It was in an article in Times of London, as butchered as that article was, and I'll explain to you why they say that they're banning me and why I'm apparently a danger to the public order. I didn't know I had that kind of power. It's interesting. I walk into the public and people go nuts, apparently. And so what horrific criticism of the British government did I have? They say, oh, no, he didn't criticize the British government. You'll never guess which government's criticism got me banned from the United Kingdom.
Oh, my God, I can't fathom.
It must have been Qatar. Was it Qatar? Oh, no, it was the United Arab Emirates, Jen. That's
I was going to say, no, I was going to say something
Burkina
like,
Faso?
Chad, right? Like just pick a random country in Africa, whatever it is.
Jen, you know what I think it is? I think he doesn't like Armenians.
He doesn't like Armenians?
That's
no,
that's it.
I think it's the Chileans.
You know what? I didn't want to go there.
It's those Chileans. Look at that country. It's all long.
They keep persecuting the Argentinians, Jen. I mean, come on. You know, let's. But Jen probably will let us know. Were we right? I mean, we had a lot of guesses here, so let's see.
You'll never guess it. I mean, you could take days trying to guess. Is it Iceland? Is it Paraguay? Is it Turkmenistan? Oh gosh, is it America? Is it Russia? Is it the UK? No. Oh, you guys already figured it out that it's Israel? Yeah.
You know, that was my next guess. That was my next guess. After about 5 others, but I was going to get there eventually.
It was Costa Rica. It's Costa Rica.
Exactly. That's the way it is.
Yes. I know it's shocking, but you are correct. I got banned from the UK, not for criticizing the UK, but for criticizing Israel. And so I'm going to show you exactly what they said and break it down for you because it is beyond absurd. So, and it feels weird, guys, honestly, like they literally took my freedom away. And I'll tell you this. When I was at the airport and they told me, and they're like, sorry, sir, you're not allowed to board the flight. You cannot travel to Great Britain. It felt like a little bit of a gut punch. And I'm surprised by that because it's kind of hard to shake me, right? But I think it's because I had a visceral reaction to having my freedom taken away. So I'm going to ask you guys throughout the video, what are we doing here?
Oh.
This is
crazy.
I'm going to smoke a big bowl on that. That's what I'm going to do because I'm so angry.
Yeah.
I'm so angry. And yeah, guys, again, I saw somebody very briefly say something about Cenk's a corporatist Democrat, and we're not going to get into that. I know that we know that's not the point, right? We all know that's not the point. This isn't a debate about whether we're not like.
We talked about this when Cenk has been on the channel. Cenk is a businessman. He is a chameleon. He will go where he has to go. But
he fights like a good fighter, and he fights for the least of these a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
The one thing you could say about him and Anna Kasparian, there is no career advantage by going after Israel the way that those two do. None.
No, and again, but the point is that I'm making is like, this is one of those things where I'm going to tell everybody in the chat, we're not debating the subject of the issue. The issue is the being banned for speech. Okay. That's the issue.
Correct.
Crazy. So now in Western governments, we're allowed to criticize Western governments. We're allowed to criticize our own government. We're allowed to criticize anything we like, except the government of Israel. If you don't think that's insane, there's something wrong with you. You're not getting it. Like, do people in mainstream media think that's normal?
Yes, because they're
Well,
paid to think that's. Here's the thing, Cenk, and Cenk knows the answer to that. The people in mainstream media don't think. That's the whole point. So it isn't a matter of whether they think it's normal. They don't think at all. They're corporate whores. They're dancing for whoever their corporate sponsors is, and Cenk knows that, obviously. He was being rhetorical, but, yeah. So it's like, don't you think that they don't think? They dance.
And apparently Hasan Piker, his nephew, has also been banned from entering the UK. And again, it isn't like this is the absurdity, the lunacy of what they're doing here. This has nothing to do with them desecrating the Union Jack flag or threatening to, stuff Tommy Robinson in a kid's locker of which he would easily fit in. These are the types of things where you would think, okay, maybe they're being a little too detrimental towards British culture. But no, that is not what they're saying. They are freely admitting that the reason that they cannot enter the UK is because they're critical of Israel. Do you not understand how batshit insane that is?
Well, you think we're far from that? We're there too. We're there too.
But what is the significant difference between the US and the UK?
We actually have a written First Amendment, but the UK has something that's similar.
And what else do we have?
I'm not sure where you're going with
We have an armed population.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that the infringement on freedom of speech has been equally bad here for truth tellers. It's not like this, we're not letting people come and go easily that have spoken out. You can ask people like Max Blumenthal what they've had to deal with coming back into this country after traveling abroad. So we've been having that for quite some time.
This is part of the reason why the libertarian movement has gained so much traction in the United States, because in the end, the one thing that they have always emphasized is not that it's all about the Second Amendment. It's that the Second Amendment is as important as the First. And I would agree. And we're seeing that in real time. And knowing that I've always said that this is the biggest reason why they really can't they can try to take over this country, and economically they obviously have, but militarily they can't, because more than half this population is armed, and they're armed to the teeth in many cases.
Oh, especially where I am.
So when Moms Demand Action and the likes of Shannon Watts get their panties
what did that bitch rear her ugly head to say? Because I heard somebody going off on her. It must have been who did I hear? Somebody was like going off on her.
Well, everyone says, like, who is the privileged white liberal that Malcolm X warned everybody?
It might have been Katie. It might have been Katie.
Shannon Watts is that person. And so when people realize why so many cling, yes, is there gun culture? 1000%. No getting around that. But do I think that there is a true conservative belief system in the right to bear arms because of the tyranny of the government? Yes, I do. I do think that is culturally embedded, and I think that's a big thing, especially for rural America, no question about it. And so it's going to get interesting to see what type of alliances start to get formed, because as we bring the conversation full circle, as you were alluding to earlier, the thing about, Jolly Good Ginger is that he's a veteran, and he's a veteran who served in combat. So you're talking about somebody who really understands warfare. And when a guy who understands warfare is saying it's revolution or bust, that's a pretty big deal. And he's not the only one who's thinking like that. We have our, veteran friends that are out there that they feel the same way. So who knows how big of a movement this is becoming. But if you think that banning Cenk and Hasan from the UK is smart PR strategy. I don't know who the hell you think this is helping. It's hurting the UK. Clearly, Ireland didn't do this because that's what makes them special. On top of that, this does not help Israel. This only hurts them more. And as we've often said, when it comes to Israel and their PR efforts, let them hang themselves, because that's what they're doing. We don't have to stop them from talking. Let them keep talking and let them continue to show their entire ass. And no one is going to have a shred of sympathy for them when they completely collapse. And they will collapse. We know that that's what's coming. Do we, Jen?
Yeah, but we are too. So it's, it's like when you're drowning, you can't help someone else. So it's we're there because they cease to exist without us. Our economic dominance, our military dominance, all of that shit is being shown to be a farce really right now. It is. It's silly. I mean, our entire economy is like a house of cards built on AI, which nobody but a handful of people wants. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants AI. Nobody wants that.
No. And here's and again, I agree with Mehdi. Where have you been all night, girlfriend? I haven't seen you.
Here.
And so the one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about tonight, we really, really should talk about on Thursday. And thank you, Caroline, for pointing it out. There's got to be a reason why Peter Thiel is moving to Costa Rica. And one of the reasons he thinks that, and one of the reasons he indicated that he is moving to Costa Rica is because he thinks that a revolution is coming in the United States. And so, okay.
It is. But you know what, Peter?
Me?
The Costa Ricans aren't.
Me?
No, Peter Thiel.
You mean the other Peter? You mean the rich Peter?
The lizard Peter.
Okay.
So the thing is, lizard Peter, the Costa Ricans aren't going to like you either. And while you can build a very big estate with walls and armed guards, because that's what you're going to have to do, you're not avoiding anything in terms of your culpability, your accountability to the regular people in the implosion of empire. So you're not going to really be able to hide in Costa Rica, right? I mean, the people are nice, but they're not stupid, right? So just putting that out there.
Yet another reason why the infiltration.
Yeah, he's going to Argentina, I thought, right?
No. He's going to. Well,
He's going to Costa Rica.
Can you guys confirm that? Is it
I think
Argentina?
it's Argentina.
Yeah, because I thought it was Argentina. Or is it Argentina and Costa Rica?
You said Costa Rica.
Yeah. I want. If somebody could please confirm that. I actually believe it's Argentina. I don't think it's Costa Rica, but I could be wrong.
That's what. And either way, point being,
it is okay. You know what? Our Asian sensation friend, no opinion with the Argentina response. Yes,
that's fine. I see a few people saying, okay, but here my point stands, right? The regular people of those places, and I know Argentina is not the same as Costa Rica in terms of the regular people, but you know what? It's like people are going to know where you are. They're going to know where you are. And, maybe you want to live the rest of your life as a recluse in some sort of fortress. And you know what? Have at that. Have at that.
Good luck. When I saw this clip earlier today, I realized that it completely encapsulates the entire issue that we're facing here as a country.
Are you doing a Zio Hunter?
This is definitely a Zio Hunter situation. And I don't know where this particular celebration was taking place because there was a lot of fireworks going off. But here's what I can tell you guys. And I want you to pay very close attention to this. So this lady does an amazing job of calling out this Zio-Nazi. And you listen to what he says, but then you listen to what others say. Here we go.
What to say about Palestinians?
They suck.
They suck. So what's so great about you? What's so great about you?
Brain damage.
You got brain damage? I know, it sounds like you got brain damage. You brain damaged? Are you a colonizer, sir?
Yes, I am.
Colonizer sympathizer?
I love the colonizer.
He loves the colonizers. He loves the colonizers.
You know, the one thing I will say, everyone thinks that this is tongue in cheek, that he's just saying that he doesn't really love the colonizers. Let me assure you that that very successful 65-year-old white male, yes, he does love colonizers.
Well, he doesn't care either way. That's the point.
But he benefits from it.
Doesn't affect him. He doesn't care.
No, economically, he probably does benefit from it. So there's that.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm ruining everybody's comfortable moment. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Actually, you know, you want to watch the bombs drop over Gaza? Would you like that? You're that type of colonizer? Would you like to murder them?
Yes, I would.
You would like to murder them, huh? Yeah. So we're supposed to stand here and act like it's normal to be around fuckers like you. And it ain't.
Stay centered, sir. Stay centered.
Colonizing ass hoe. Murderous ass, genocidal ass fucking ideology.
Don't respond.
Are you good?
Go ahead, baby.
Are you
Why
okay?
do you attack
Why
me?
do you have a problem?
I-
Oh, why am I antagonizing
I
him?
agree with you.
Say I'm a crazy bitch.
Go ahead about your business.
Mama, go ahead.
I'm a crazy bitch.
Mama, go ahead. Mama, go ahead.
I'm a crazy bitch. Did he have to do that? Did he have to say all that? Did he have to say all that?
So we don't know what he said that provoked this. That's part of what's bothering me. We don't know what provoked this because no one just walks up to some guy standing there and just goes after him like that because you would never know who he was.
You know, the most logical explanation is that she had perhaps a Palestinian flag pin, and he said "Am Yisrael Chai" to her.
Well,
something.
whatever it is, but you know, let it finish because I want to hear.
Go ahead. Go. What you got to listen? The world is on fire, baby. Nobody should be comfortable right now. I understand that. You're lucky that your kids are alive. I'm talking about kids that are all fucking dead, bruh.
I agree.
You're not mad enough.
My kids are right behind you.
You're not mad enough.
Who cares that your kids are behind you? Your kids are the ones that are going to suffer for this. They're the ones that are going to have to deal with the fact that you were too much of a coward to do anything about it like everybody else. That you just stood.
I'm curious what it went down before she started recording, but yes, obviously he said something.
I just want you to.
You know how many kids are not here on this planet Earth anymore because of our fucking never minding shit? But you know what? Enjoy your fucking night. That's why. That's why. That's why all those children are dead.
I just want to enjoy my fireworks. I don't want to worry about a bunch of kids' heads getting blown off in West Asia right now.
Well, it's the same as when people stand up in those meetings and presentations and address people on the stage and call them out, and everybody in the audience is like,
how dare you interrupt? Do
Right.
you remember that time when the young kids, I wouldn't even say ambush, but just called out Senator Gillibrand?
and that guy was freaking out.
I thought he was going to stroke out. Like I seriously thought he was going to drop dead on the spot.
But that's where I mean, I agree with her. Nobody gets to be comfortable. Nobody gets to be comfortable. Nobody gets to be comfortable until we're all comfortable. How's that?
Well, yeah. I mean, this again, to me, this is everything.
Yeah. Do we know where this is, by the way? Where is this?
I honestly, I don't know. I saw it. Let me see if I can trace it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I could tell you exactly where this is.
All right, let it finish playing now.
Because of this fucking mentality. That is the killer, and you guys are the silent fucking observers.
And that is correct.
Yes.
And this is the lesson that everybody needs to understand. And this is why silence is complicity, but it's not just complicity anymore. Silence is murder by association.
Silence is violence.
Silence is violence. It is. Well, it always has been, but now it really is. Now it's on a whole other level. And when the people that are there, again, to even contemplate the fact that it is almost 1,000 days, since October 7th, 2023, and this is still going on. And it's so much worse now. It's gotten
Well,
so
because
much.
now they've been given the green light. Now it's, oh, there's a ceasefire. So now it's all good and everybody else is paying attention to other stuff. Meanwhile, there never has been a ceasefire. They're expanding the yellow line. They're moving it every day and they're killing people every day for violating the fake yellow line. I mean, you guys know, I think all borders are sort of imaginary lines, but the yellow line really is an imaginary line that they just kind of keep moving so that they could kill people. And yeah, and most people have started looking away because we are looking at Iran and Lebanon and all these other places. So, yeah.
I think that's part of it, but I also think that there is something to be said for whether or not we are willing to be uncomfortable. And the one thing we've learned is that most people refuse to accept being uncomfortable, especially, we've met plenty of liberals in particular, that comfort more than anything else is what matters to them. And without that comfort, they lose their mind. And if you have ever been around somebody whose comfort means everything to them, there is nothing they will not do to get that back. Those are the people that call the police. Those are the people that rat people out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there. And that's kind of how they feel right now. Complacency is complicity. And that's what this is. That's why that video is so
He wants to know, what is the magical remedy to this affliction? These people, these parasites, they don't deserve a moment's peace in public. Ever. Ever. They need to be shunned like the pieces of shit that they are. And they need to spend the remainder of their existence as pariahs. And that is incumbent upon all of us. So, and they will cease to exist. It is going to happen. The fact that Iran just issued evacuation orders is very promising to me. I think they're getting ready to take the gloves off. And we've been wasting all of our munitions and all of our stuff for months. And Iran's been sitting there holding on to all their good stuff. We don't even know what they've really got yet. How about that?
No,
but I think we're about to find out.
But when the conversation comes full circle, when you think about, good
exactly that
since 1999, if you think about the jolly good ginger and the message that he put out there about revolution, and that is the only solution, that we really are not in a situation right now where we can have anything other than that. And then you think about how uncomfortable people feel because they know that change is certainly in the air. But then you also think about all the suffering that we've had to bear witness to for as long as we have. I had to, some of the conversations I've had over the past couple of days when I was in New Jersey, some people you just can't break bread with. You can't help because they're never going to get it. And they don't want to get it because they're too comfortable. And piercing through that comfortable bubble is something that they don't like. They also don't like when truth is presented to them. And it's not about being a know-it-all. It's about actually paying attention to what actually matters.
I'm not a know-it-all. I'm a know-enough.
I'm a know-enough.
I'm a know-enough. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that. And that's sufficient, right? It's sufficient to know enough. I mean, in terms of knowing what the real big picture looks like.
It's like Joe Pantoliano in The Matrix. I don't want to remember anything. I want to be somebody important, like an actor. And Kenman's right. It's willful ignorance. 1999 was a great year for movies because it was the year of The Matrix. And that in so many ways is what people prefer. They want to be in The Matrix. They want to be plugged in. They don't want to think about this.
Well, I'm out here living on Zion, the actual Zion, meaning paradise, not a political state.
If you need one more reason, last reason of the evening, if you need one more reason why we have to break from this Zion state and revolution's the only answer, here's the last reason of the evening.
ישראלי אדמתי, ואלוקים תמיד איתי. את החיילים תמיד ישמור, הדם שלי הוא יהודי, הוא יהודי.
Well, there is no Israeli culture. That's not a real thing. It's not a real place. It's seriously, it's like at Narnia, like what you say. It's not a real place. There is no such thing as Israeli culture. It's Levant culture. The people of the Levant, Palestinians have their stuff, Syrians, Lebanese, like that. Yeah. And so you can take the PETA and call it Israeli, but that just doesn't make it so. Right? It's just not right. So.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, and pretty soon this bimbo will meet the end of a drone that won't be so. I can't rhyme it, but you get the idea.
Oh, I wanted to say something back to what we were talking about with the people before Kshama left, about the Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
And I want people to understand this. And this is from the perspective of a lifelong atheist. So my entire life, for the most part, I've had to vote for candidates that are churchy. They're churchy. I have voted for churchy people. Listen, all colors, all whatever, one way or another, they're churchy, right? As an atheist, I don't want to have somebody in office that's a churchy. I'd rather not. But I know that really, for the most part, people are what they are in their personal life, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be promoting that onto everybody else.
Yeah, it's called the separation of church and state.
Right. So I would suggest that the same thing holds true for someone like Kshama. She is a Marxist. She believes what she believes. But what she's fighting for is the stuff that the majority of people want. So it's actually irrelevant what her personal belief is. And I've been saying this since the first time I ran for Congress. It's irrelevant what your personal belief is. You represent your people. And if you're doing a good job of that and you're not a corporate whore, then your personal beliefs are really not that relevant, religion or otherwise. Okay. And Kshama fights for her people. So my point would be her personal beliefs, think of it as her religion. She's not going in there and forcing everybody to have it. Don't worry about that. Okay.
We also have a Substack. We are also on Instagram, TikTok, and Rumble. So make sure you get over there if you can.
Apparently we were being like not promoted on Rumble tonight. Somebody's asking if my atheism is a reaction to church people. No, I've been an atheist forever. I've never not been an atheist. I was born an atheist, was never taught otherwise. Actually, we're all born atheists. That's what's fascinating.
Yeah, that's true.
So, anywho, I just never changed. The church people thing has been just me evolving through life and adapting and living amongst the humans. I've had to learn to adapt and interact with church people, and I get it.
Do we have a guest for Thursday?
Is it on the calendar?
I don't have it right now.
Well, then I don't know. See
Well,
how
we'll figure that out. We know you guys enjoy it.
And the weed smoking is definitely one of the reactions to the church people, among other things. But that's another thing I've been doing, not for quite as long. I wasn't born weed smoking, but yeah, I mean, pretty soon thereafter. I mean, especially given my parents, you know, I mean,
it's one way to deal with.
I was either going to be a pothead or a wino. You guys met my parents on my birthday. It was going to go one direction or the other. I prefer weed to anything else, but you know, in terms of substance.
Fair enough. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things we ask you to do. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Don't let the algorithm get you down. We'll see you Thursday, and
free Palestine.
All right, guys.